what is going on with this impeachment inquiry. Kevin McCarthy, the speaker, said we would have a vote, but then he realized he didn't have the votes, so we're not going to have a vote. This is the first time, whatever you think of the two Trump impeachments, there was a clear case to be made for impeachable offenses. There's even James Comer, head of the Oversight Committee, when he was asked, well, are we going to find some evidence or a smoking gun? Well, I sure hope so. Well, we have this witness. What happened? Oh, the witness vanished. We can't seem to find him. I mean, the whole thing is just a display, I think, isn't it just a display of Kevin McCarthy's weakness as speaker and his desire to keep his job and appease the extreme wing of his party? Isn't that all it is, Carrie? Isn't there not any real evidence here?
Well, I think there is a lot of evidence that we should continue looking at. I do agree it is premature to go straight for impeachment. I think there is a lot of possible angles that continue to need to be investigated. I do think the Donald Trump, especially the first impeachment, but both the impeachments were very political in nature. And, you know, when they were planning the first one, the Democrats, I was like, don't do this. People don't need this in our country politically. And I think, though, with Joe Biden, the media gives Joe Biden such a free pass that that's part of why so many conservatives are so angry. But if you just look at the evidence, I mean, that the House Oversight Committee, you know, Devin Archer's testimony was pretty damning. I mean, he testified that the Joe Biden the brand was used to send signals of power, access, and influence to enrich the Biden family from foreign sources. And Devin Archer testified that at least 20 times while he was vice president, he spoke on the speakerphone with Hunter Biden's foreign business associates. And the White House tells us they were talking about the weather. I mean, my goodness, if the tables were turned and this was Donald Trump Jr., do you really believe that they would be talking about the weather if that was his father? No. I mean, you can't sell me the Brooklyn Bridge for $1. I'm sorry. I'm not going to fall for that. And there's also the fact in February 2014, then Vice President Joe Biden, he dined with these oligarchs from Russia and Kazakhstan, who then funneled millions of dollars to Hunter Biden and his business associates. There's also, and then April 2015, Biden dined with Hunter Biden's foreign business associates again, including the Ukrainian Burisma executive, Vadim Pozarsky. And then Burisma at the time was then being investigated by the Ukrainian prosecutor. So, while Vice President Joe Biden had coffee with Hunter Biden's Chinese business associate Jonathan Li of BHR in Beijing, and he wrote a college letter recommendation for his daughter. I could go on and on if you want me to, but in 2015, then Vice President Biden also hosted Hunter Biden and Devin Archer and other business associates at the official residence of the vice president. The topic was filling the top seat at the UN. The Kazakhstani government official who wanted the UN position attended both dinners at Cafe Milano with then Vice President Biden. So the committee has actually put forth a lot of evidence of how Joe Biden has used the brand to enrich his son's business associates. So I actually do think there is a lot there. I do agree, though, that it seems like it's not a very organized process. And it does seem that McCarthy is kind of being dragged and he should be leading and ahead of it. And I think he should be focused on the shutdown right now. That's where I think he should be focused. I agree with you, Dave, on that. But I do think that this is something they should continue looking at.
Well, first of all, let's not even get started with the false equivalencies about grift. I mean, look at Jared Kushner's Saudi deal. It's despicable. But having said that, Devin Archer's testimony, I thought was very helpful for Biden, because he even said there is no direct evidence that Joe Biden got a direct benefit from anything that Hunter Biden did. And that's what they were looking for in his testimony, and it wasn't there. And the bottom line is, yes, we've been through this before. Hunter Biden is pathetic. He's a drug addict. He used the name. But again, there is a big difference between having your dad say hi to prove, oh, look, I'm the vice president's son, and Joe Biden directly benefiting. There is no evidence that Joe Biden, to this point, directly benefited. There's a lot of evidence that Hunter Biden behaved despicably. And I am no defender of Hunter Biden. You know that. We've been through this on this show many times. But the bottom line is that they don't have a smoking gun, and they know it. And again, if I were a political strategist I would be advising against this because Joe Biden needs a lifeline right now, frankly. He has not had a very good couple of weeks. And this is exactly the kind of lifeline that he needs, because you can debate, what Donald Trump did, but there's no question the two things he did were impeachable offenses, particularly January 6th. I know you still don't even think Trump is responsible for January 6th in any way. We don't have to get back into that again. But the bottom line is that we agree that this is being done more to appease the right wing of his party than it is because there's actual evidence. And again, I would caution the Republicans, history has not been kind. Look at 1998 when they did it to Bill Clinton. It is not a good sign, and it may be just exactly what Joe Biden needs.
Well, look, number one, yes, we agree on Hunter Biden. And I've said this before too, he is mentally ill, like drug addiction is a mental illness. He needs to be treated for that. And so I have compassion for him on that. However, the thing about helping an addict, you can't enable them. And so when, for example, on The View, they said, oh, this is just the love of a father for the son. It's criminal. It's more than that. It's criminal if you're using influence and the official acts. An official act, that's the big question here. An official act to pressure the firing of a prosecutor who was investigating the son, that the company that your son is on the board of. That bereavement, I mean, that to me is deeply, impeachable if that's true. If the vice president used his official act to pressure the firing of whether this prosecutor was corrupt or not, he should have recused himself. Joe Biden should have recused himself. So I believe there's evidence it needs to be looked into further, but it could have been an official act on behalf of his son. And then there's also the fact that there was a 2019 text message between Hunter Biden to his own daughter, Naomi. And he said, don't worry, unlike Pop, I won't make you give me half of your salary. That's what Hunter Biden said to his daughter, Naomi, in a text message. He said that my father forces me to fork over half of my salary. So how can you defend that text message, Dave?
Again, you're getting so far into the weeds here. But again, as I said, look, I'm not defending Hunter Biden's behavior. I think the Biden overall, he's been in office for 50 years, and he's a guy that doesn't have a lot of money. I mean, he would take the train to work every day every time. He doesn't live an opulent life. You don't have the grift in spades that you have with the Trump family. And so, again, but as you said, if that's true, and that's what I keep hearing from you and a lot of anti-Biden people. Well, if this is true, if that's true, good. Well, until you prove it, there's still no smoking gun.